Hello, dear friends, and here we are, both through Kardec Radio, yes, and also we are here at our dear moment, 30 days of inner journey with Emmanuel, based on the book Thought in Life, Your Thought, Your Life. And this is actually day 25, chapter 25, which is about tolerance. Yes, it's about tolerance. Throughout this book, we've got to know that this book represents to us is really a synopsis on spoken directives given at the schools of our generation. And let me share with you, this is the first day that we are streaming live through the new system of Kardec Radio. So if you go to kardecradio.com, you can also listen to what we're saying here. Yes? And you know, tuning radio, you can also listen directly through tuning radio. We have two channels there. One is the live one, and the other one is the podcasts. Believe it or not, thanks to the efforts of several friends, including our dear Mark Smith, Kara Correa, who are here with us. Yes, they are. I can't turn the, or I can. No, I can. Yes, I can. Yes.
Hello, friends.
Hello. The live broadcast is working. I'm checking it now. Yay.
Thank you,
So,
Mark.
yeah, no problem. Radio version.
Radio
Yes.
version, and it's there, so you can listen from both. People cannot go through the Facebook. They have the live stream at kardecradio.com. Yep, there we are. Now we can stream whole meetings 24/7. If you have a spiritist meeting in English, we can be there with you and streaming to you wherever you are. And also we have YouTube channel too. But besides that, today is the day we really need the message we're going to talk about today. What a fitting message. The world is reflecting, meditating, marching, and one more proof that the good spirits who are taking care of humanity, they are watching over us. Believe it or not, who would know of the current events today? Nobody. But the good spirits, the very superior spirits. And I remember when Mentor Joseph said, 70 plus days ago, he said, we need to do a daily study to focus the minds of whomever is willing to get out of the commotion of the world, recenter themselves, restraining to work in favor of the general good. And they promised they would share with us tools to live in this very current moment. And believe it or not, today is the very day we need a message of tolerance for ourselves. This message is for us. So before we read it, meditate and learn new tools. Let us say hi to everybody, because this is a beautiful community we have built together, and it's good to be together, right, Mark and Carol? And it's so important to be together. Hello, Leonor and Solange, singing in the rain. Hello, Sol. Valéria, you're unbelievable, Valéria. And Jussara, adorable spirit too. Marilda. Oh, the hearts. Thank you, Sol. Thank you, Leonor. Sunshine, great timing. I know this message is perfect timing. Constance, she's saying, good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be here with all of you. We do too. Thank you, Melissa. Patricia and Tiago. Yes, thank God we make it possible, Constance. Adilson, friends. Did you see how many times during the 70 plus days we have had the confirmation that the loving and superior guides of humanity, together with the governor, Jesus, are watching over us. They don't play games. No. They care for you. They care for me. They care for everybody, irrespective of their decisions in this life. It's very important that we are deeply reassured about it. Thank you, Mark, for confirming. Thank you. Maria Edith and Leia Severo. By the way, yesterday I forgot a promise I made, right? To announce the next book, because it's not going to take more than 5 days from now to start a new book. And the good spirits, through the loving and kind mentor Joseph, they asked us to go through, since Spiritism is here, in a message that is not yet in English, but it will be in this book, Ceifa de Luz, by Emmanuel. Chapter 35, Ao Sol da Verdade, Under the Sun of Truth. He mentions, quotes, question and answer 799 of the Spirit's book. And in that question, Kardec asks, can Spiritism contribute? In which way can Spiritism contribute to the progress of humanity? And they say, first and foremost, by destroying materialism, which is one of the worst enemies of society. And the answer goes on and on. But the bottom line is that the good spirits want us to revisit one element that is in our daily lives. But we are oftentimes very conflicted about that relationship, money. Can you believe? Emmanuel wrote a book named Money, in Portuguese, Dinheiro, through Chico Xavier. And this book was translated, revised, and published in 2016 through the United States Spiritist Federation. And Jussara Korngold, I talked to her as the president. They've given us permission to study every single message of that book. We need to know how to make peace. Remember when we mentioned that this is the life, it's gonna be the turning point, reincarnation? This is it. We're gonna learn also how to deal with money. What is the Spiritist view of money? And that's the book we're gonna be studying starting next week when we finish this book. Okay? Hello, Ceissa and Marilda. Yeah, did you like it, friends? We need it, right? Money. We were playing here, Karen, Mark, and I, like, money's in the air. Dun, 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 dun. We're joking. But money's everywhere. Money's everywhere. And we needed to make peace with it. How so? How do we deal with it? How? And it's not about money, the bills. It's about this financial component of our lives, which oftentimes we want to push away, leave it aside, don't talk about it. When we think about spirituality, we talk about anything and everything but this, okay? So where can you buy it? Thank you, Constance. The website of the United States Spirits Federation, www.spiritist.us, and everyone can get one book. All you need to do is buy it. Right? Yeah, you need money to buy the money. Money for the money. Money, money, money. Okay? Friends, thank you, Constance. Thank you, friends. Hello, hello. Hello, Rita Di Cássia. Hello, my friend. And Luciana Tuani, the couple, power couple. And yeah, it's a wonderful book. Few people know it though. Few people study it. We really need it. Ready? Today, tolerance. It's a grave topic. grave topic. A topic that Kardec aimed as one of the most important pillars in any spiritist organization. Tolerance. Imagine in our daily lives, family lives, work lives, communities, neighborhoods, cities, states, nations, nations to nations. What is tolerance? Chapter 25. With all the reverence and respect to the loving and kind Emmanuel and the good spirits that brought to us the spoken directives that are very serious, preparing us for the new birth, for this incarnation, not the other one, but this one. Tolerance is the foundation of all true progress. Just as all parts of a machine working together so that there may be the production of certain benefits. So all blessings of nature are series of manifestations of this blessed virtue that inspires true brotherhood. Tolerance, however, is not a superficial concept, but a living reflection of understanding, a purity of the soul. It conjures the feelings of hope, patience, and a letting go of all evil. To insist that others think as we do would be to demand that the world adapt itself to our whims. Our obligation is to adapt ourselves with dignity to the world, with the firm purpose of helping it. Divine providence reflects wise and active tolerance everywhere. God does not require that the seed immediately produce after its kind. God gave it time to germinate and grow, to bloom and bear fruit. God does not ask the stream to quickly blend its course towards the awaiting ocean. He offers the stream pathways through the soil and the time needed to finish its course. Likewise, tolerance is needed between one soul and another. It is important that we do not assume any attitude of violence. The roughness of an impulsive person, the irritation of an uneducated patient, the claw of an animal, the thorns of a rose, all represent the natural signs of evolutionary stage in which they are found. To fight hatred with hatred is to bring about destruction. He who commits an offense attracts evil to himself. This being the case, evil is not really evil to the one who commits it. To retaliate on the same irrelevant principle is to assimilate its poison. It is essential to treat ignorance with the same loving care that is employed when treating a wound. If we bruise it without mercy, it would be like transforming a curable case into a hopeless one for lack of adequate treatment. Therefore, above all else, tolerance is a complete release of all evil and a continuous service in goodness. Those who only give constant lip service to forgiveness demonstrate their desire to harbor the hurt they retain and thus are wasting their time. To forgive is to let go of all shadows and follow the light. It does not mean to fall to one's knees or to ascend the towers of false superiority by making a show of our heart's desires. Rather, it is to persist in the work of regeneration by bringing about good and harmony. In so doing, those who do not understand us yet will observe us differently and finally understand the silent language of our example. Christ offered us a pattern of ideal tolerance when he returned from the grave to encounter his discouraged students. He did not address Peter's abandonment or Judas' weakness to say that he forgave them. Rather, he spoke about the redemptive task ahead, thereby inducing them to resume their work in the field of goodness. To tolerate is to reflect a brotherly understanding, and forgiveness is always a preventive measure that assures health and peace, renewal and security wherever it may be. I'm speechless. I've read it before, okay? Let me just share with you the book Money we're going to study in a week. Constance is spiritist.us. U, the word U, the letter U and S. Okay? US. Hello, Edvanda, Francisca Kranz, and Nermine. They are here. Gary Mark. Anna, and she's sending you kisses, Carrie Mark. Okay, friend. Anna, hello. Tolerance is one thing that the world needs right now. Yes. Rihanna, hello. Hello. Yes, Rita, we need tolerance and prayer. Angelita and Liz. Oh, my beautiful Liz. Right? So, friends, tolerance. Right now, I know the first thing we're thinking is tolerance and the new president. He needs it. The question is, don't we? Don't we need it? We need it. How tolerant are we? It depends, right? To be fair, it all depends on the definition. How tolerant are we? Tolerant like what? Putting up with somebody? No. I've heard that definition before, that tolerance is about putting up with somebody. That's not the Spiritist definition. That's not the definition of tolerance according to the illuminated spirits on the earth. Tolerance has a completely different perspective. It's not putting up with anybody. Tolerance goes really, 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 really beyond. Beyond. Wonderful, Bianca Thomas, you were watching it. Promising generation. We deposit our hopes in you, dear Thomas too, and Bianca, the mom too. Felipe, and Tia Abby. Beijo, Tia Abby. And yes, it's about respect and much more. In this chapter, Emmanuel gives us a very complete definition. First, he says that tolerance is not this superficial concept, but a living reflection of understanding. So to be tolerant, I need to understand and not put up with. It's like, okay, whatever, let them be. No, it's like, I understand. And you know, when we study cultural competence, David Hoops, in 1969, if I'm not mistaken, He, as a social researcher, scientist, he verified the pathway to this multicultural behavior and attitude in life. But he said it all begins when we step out of our ethnocentric feelings to a multicultural feelings and thoughts. But there is a pathway, he says. And this pathway goes from being ethnocentric, thinking that what we think, what we feel is the best of the best, to contemplating others, accepting other people's different ways of being, and then understanding them. Understanding means investigating, getting to know more. Let me give an example. Tolerance in the family. Today at Kardec Radio, we had a beautiful program with a doctor in education from California, Barbara Ann Jaff. She wrote a book about one of the problems that happens between parents. And I was asking her if in regards to our, perspective of many lives, this relationship may eventually be different among siblings and other features. And she beautifully answered this, saying, yes, I think she's married to a psychiatrist as well. And she said, I truly believe in reincarnation. And I am 100% sure that my brother, who died before I was born, he was helping me from a spiritual perspective. Somebody who is not a spiritist was there, listening to what we had to say and also answering. Beautiful soul who is doing great works, helping families. But in families, we need tolerance, like she learned with her mother. Her mother lost a child when that child named Jeffrey was only 2. The mother planned on having only 2 children. Jeffrey was the second child, but he died when he was 2. So she decided to go for a 3rd pregnancy. That's when Barbara was conceived. And throughout her life, she heard her mother saying, you're only born because Jeffrey is dead. But she didn't mean it in a mean way. But Barbara went through great conflicts because of that attitude of the mom. She told us through this book how she walked this pathway of compassion, of understanding her mother. And she says at Kardec Radio, she said, I understood over time that in my mother's generation, therapy was almost non-existent. She didn't know how to grieve, and the lack of this knowledge, how to grieve, the whole process, could have made her feel this way and be stuck and stagnated and thinking that she was replacing a child for another. So it's very beautiful because in her own experience, she tells us how she walked this pathway. And she said, I had to understand my mother's history. Do you understand your family's history, friends? It's your history. To be tolerant, we need to understand ourselves and our relationships. How much do you think you know of the history of your parents, of the history of people who are in your life, your spouse? Why is your spouse this or that way? Go back, investigate more and more and more and more and more. But the definition of tolerance gives us another encouragement, because he says it's going to make us progress. He says that through this exercise of tolerance, we're going to progress. It's the foundation of all true progress. And he says that divine providence really reflects this wise and active tolerance, meaning it's inside of you, it's inside of me. But what is happening to us when we have a different threshold for tolerance? What happens? Where is that divine tolerance inside of us? Like he says, God does not require that the seed immediately produce after its kind. There's time for everything. Do you understand what it means? Do we understand? Do I understand what Emmanuel means? He means that you and I and you, all of us, we have time to achieve certain milestones of the soul. And our timing is different. Soon it's going to be spring here in the United States. In other parts of the world, it's already other different temperatures, different seasons, where we're going to go back to that moment in which we study about different plants and flowers we want to plant in our backyard, front yard, and change the ones indoors, and we're going to get to know that each one have their own timing. You can't ask for a plant to be blooming at a different time of its own. And that's called tolerance. Respecting people's time. And he gave us the example, the beautiful example of Jesus. He never demanded on Peter, neither pushed him to acknowledge how much Jesus was great and forgave. Because you know, the funny part is that we do things and we say, you see, I did it. See, I forgave you. Okay? Remember, I forgave you. Isn't that funny? We're just like that. But tolerance nowadays is, according to this, today you have an option now, okay? This is 11:27 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You have a choice to keep going through this study, and your conscience gonna tell you you need to change in regards to tolerance, or quit right now. Because the more we study this, the more we're gonna be responsible for what we do with it. And then when you watch the news, it's not about asking others to be tolerant, it's about us being tolerant with others. Ooh, that's like working out at the gym and you're being invited to do push-ups with 50 pounds. Woo! 50 pounds! Ay, ay, ay. That's a lot. But that's exactly what it is. You ready? If the tutors of our souls are telling us we're ready, we better believe it. And we better share it. Share the story, share the book, share the words, share the phrases, share the feelings. Is it possible to feel tolerant? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And I can também. Oh, I'm mixing up Portuguese and English. Beautiful. Oh, beautiful. For spacious skies, we need to remind ourselves of the beauty of these lands and the promise of Jesus here. We need, you know, the best thing for us now is to go to the root, the foundation of this country. You want to help people? Mentor Joseph said to us today, and we remind people of the beautiful foundation of this country. Remind them of the founding mothers and fathers, their efforts. Not to tell people to change, but so we feel the connection with those who are in charge of this nation and the world. And believe that there is a time for everything. And we, in our active tolerance, we're not going to ask the stream to quickly blend its course towards the awaiting ocean. No, we're not. Tolerance is needed between one soul to another, but without violence. But what is violence? There's a wonderful neurobehavioral scientist who is located in Atlanta, Georgia. And he, in the beautiful works he has been doing, fronts the wall. For many years since Second World War, he studied the root of violence. And he saw how close we are to the animal kingdom. Yes, we are. But then he finally started observing in his works in primates that we also have inside of us an inbuilt system for conciliation. Oh yeah. He saw that primates are capable of reconciling after a squabble. So it's like, the male and the female, they were not getting along. And then soon after he observed that he sealed their reconciliation with a kiss. They later observed in a family, mother and the daughters, who also had their siblings. These female siblings of the main mother were like arguing in their own way, the primate way. They have a language. And then soon after, the mom called them up in their language and made them reconcile. We have pictures of it. We have scientific papers proving it. And he came to a conclusion that we also have this inner capacity of conciliating, of reconciling, of tolerating, respecting. So it's not something we need to acquire externally. It's inside of you. It's inside of me, inside of all of us, including the people you least imagine are possible of being tolerant. You know what we need to do? Believe it. Look at them and say, I believe you're a child of God. In our families, in our workplaces, everywhere. And he says, no, but no attitude of violence. He gives examples. He says, the roughness of an impulsive person, the irritation of an uneducated patient, the claw of an animal, the thorns of a rose, they are signs of the evolutionary stage in which they are found. How far do you think you are from those animal instincts of aggressiveness that preserve ourselves? 0 to 10, where do you think you are? It matters where you think, because you're building your life. You can change it according to where you are aware about. I need to be aware to change it. If I want to remodel a house, I need to know what I need to remodel. I can't ask anybody to say, remodel. And they're going to say, remodel what? I don't know anything. Anything what? Anything. Everything. But how? I don't know. But I want you to make the way I want it. Well, it's not going to happen, because if you don't, so we have to go there and say, I don't like this color like this, I prefer this, and I prefer, oh really, I want this. And so I need to look at myself and say, where am I? Where do you think you are regarding this evolutionary stage? People say something, you snap? Or it's like, you take it easy. Do not react, or prefer not to react. Think another 5-10 minutes. Drink the water that Chico Xavier learned. Like, drink the water, don't say anything. But don't say anything else on inside, because if I keep ruminating, it's going to make me feel sick. Right? And where are we? A good exercise for us is to read as homework. Questions 100 onwards of the Spirits book by Kardec. Hierarchy of spirits. We are in the category of imperfect spirits, but there are so many different types. We need to read it to learn more about ourselves. Go after it. Get to know who you are. Let's go there and find ourselves. Because he says, and this was said in 1958. And if I'm not mistaken, he said this before, way before Martin Luther King Jr. said a similar thought. To fight hatred with hatred is to bring about destruction. Right?
Right.
It was before, because this is 1958. What does that mean? It means that this is a universal truth. He who commits an offense attracts evil to himself. Did we hear that? He who commits an offense attracts evil to himself, so you don't need to make justice with your hands. I don't need to go there and be aggressive and tell people and curse and say names and swear because this or that person is doing evil. Say, but what if I don't say, friend? There are people dying. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a better day. So let's start giving. Let's start giving, meaning if the other doesn't, let us give. Stopping to swear on the person, to curse, to do this and that and the other. We're still not going to help those who are suffering. No wonder Jesus said, I came here for the sick, for those who think they are well. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Na, 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 na.
Whisper words of wisdom.
Whisper
I think it's
words
Lisa.
of wisdom, let it be. Dun 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 the piano, just to make it a little lighter, because this study is very intense, but we're ready to be healed, right? Yes, and Constance is saying respecting people's time. Each one is in their own path. We must respect, we must tolerate, but we don't need to agree exactly, Anna. And Jesus didn't agree with Judas, but he didn't put him down. He gave him free will. Yeah. Tanya, hello. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Hate multiplies hate. Violence multiplies violence. And toughness multiplies toughness in a descending spiral of destruction. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Strength to Love, 1963. Thank you, Melissa. Universal truth. It's beautiful to confirm the people who were prepared before birth, and we're all on the same team. All on the same team of love. Okay? So, question here is, it's essential to treat ignorance with the same loving care that is employed when treating a wound. So now, today, January 28th, 2017, a new year in the Chinese calendar. New year for us. The year of the rooster. Everybody's talking about the rooster. Cock-a-doodle-doo. Just to make it easier on us. Cock-a-doodle-doo. Why not? Right? We're amongst friends here. Okay? Nobody here is a beginner. If they are, join the club. Okay? New year, new life. First and foremost, we have a tool to treat ignorance. He says ignorance is like a wound. It's a disorder. It's something that's not working, that is out of balance. How do we approach it? In this beautiful chapter, he gives us practical tools. He says, if we bruise the wound without mercy, it would be like transforming curable disease into a hopeless one for lack of adequate treatment. So what do we need to do? A wound you treat with loving care, he said. That's tolerance. Somebody is being ignorant. We look at them with loving care. Practice it. Breathe in and out. If you cannot treat the wound, just pass on the duty to the physician of all physicians. Jesus can do it. And say, Jesus, please, this person, I wish I could, but I also have my wounds, my ignorance. But I recognize that at this time they need loving care, the loving care that you have. Please treat, and release us from these wounds. Think about somebody right now whom you think is displaying great levels of ignorance. In your opinion, you're entitled to your opinion. Okay? It's not being judgmental. It's just a feeling. Feel it. Visualize the person. Think about that ignorance that is coming out as a pus that is coming from a wound. Can you visualize yourself going there lovingly and washing it with peroxide, alcohol, an ointment of love? If you think it's not possible, be tolerant with yourself. Respect your wounds, but push that button that requests help. Because if you see a patient who is in need, you know, when you go to the hospital, somebody's in bed, they have that button. Click that button of emergency where a nurse can come and do the job that you can't do. And ask for the guardian angels of the person, the loving spirits, and Jesus, whomever superior to us, to go there and take care, with loving care, the wound of that ignorance. We need to be proactive. Emmanuel is asking us to be in this divine frequency of wise and active tolerance. It's not passive. It's active. Very active. Think about that person and visualize, or the people. Nobody makes a mistake alone, my friends. There's always company in the spiritual realm. And there are always friends in the incarnate level who are thinking alike or worse. Did you know that? It's very important to realize that we're never alone. That there's always other people around. Nobody makes a mistake alone. Visualize the loving care to the wounds of the whole group. It's the collective consciousness, collective consciousness that is driving that person in the group to go take those measures. Think of Saul of Tarsus. Think of Saul of Tarsus. He was committing crimes in the name of God. And the true disciples of Jesus Christ never, ever rebelled against him. Were never violent. Emmanuel is saying that above all else, tolerance is a complete release of all evil and a continuous service in goodness. That's it. Wise and active, he says. God is wise and active in its display of tolerance. Is a complete release of all evil and a continuous service in goodness. Complete release of all evil and a continuous service in good. In the Spiritist centers, let's bring very personal to us too. Spiritist organizations. Kardec said we need work, right? Solidarity, tolerance. Work, because without work we don't progress. Spiritist centers are not clubs. They are not for chit-chatting. No, they are not. No. Oh, but it's my... Yeah, friends to work together. We don't get together just for the mere sake of being together. We're together to learn together, to serve together, to meditate together, to connect to God together. Work. But then, solidarity, helping one another, assisting each other, love, cooperation. So when I go to a Spiritist center, I need to ask, who can I help? It's not only about receiving. Oh, but Vanessa, I have my life. We all have our lives. We all have our work. We all have duties, daily duties. Everyone. But we're all being called to serve and help one another. And third, tolerance. Because most people are not going to do what they need to do at the right time, like at the timing of everybody else. So we need to tolerate and see they have their own time. As long as the group is not harmed by our different timing. So you want to sit down and wait, sit down and wait. But we're going to work. We're not going to push you to work, but we're going to work. We're going to help people. If you want to be there and wait, that's okay. You're welcome. But we're not going to sit down and wait and just because I know some people, when you create new projects, they're like, why do we need to do this? I don't want to do that. We were doing other things until now. Why do we have to change? Why? Because that's the world, the nature of things in the world. We're always changing. It's constant change. Never-ending transformations. We're supposed to renew ourselves every time. And in the national movement too. We've been doing things for 10 years, the symposium. And Jussara is here. She has been on the behind the scenes and very actively since the beginning. But each year, there's a new feature. There is a change. There is an improvement. Because if it's not, we're not following. We're not walking the talk. But we need to be tolerant. Some people are not on the very timing of the change. We need to respect. And not tell them, you're obsessed. And because you're obsessed, we're going to avoid you like you have leper. Because that's how many spiritists behave. Very intolerant. Yeah, they see people who are not aligned. Instead of helping, they're like, avoid them like the plague. Right? Yes, like, oh, I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to talk to this person. I'm not going to help this person. And then we think we're so tolerant. And we ask Mr. Trump to be tolerant. And I wonder how tolerant we are. How can we demand, as Emmanuel said, anything on anyone if we're not displaying it? Above all else, tolerance is a complete release of all evil and a continuous service in the goodness. And he says that when we are displaying it, forgiveness is just a part of it. He said Christ offered us a pattern of ideal tolerance when he returned from the grave to encounter his discouraged students. He didn't give up. Like some people I know, they're like, oh, but people are not on the same page. I'm going to be at home studying my spiritist books because, people are weird. It's so strange. I want to be isolated. I said, okay, go ahead. You think you're going to progress that way? Let me know, because as far as we know, progress happens in connection with a social interaction. Did you know psychology says that we actually know about ourselves in contact with people? When we are on our own, we don't know who we are. We only know who we are when we're in touch with people. So don't be afraid. Look at our mirror, because the world is, remember, the mirror of life. Emmanuel said that the life we build is the mirror of our thoughts and feelings and thoughts. Christ is the example, and to tolerate is to reflect brotherly understanding, and forgiveness is always a preventive measure that assures health and peace, renewal and security wherever it may be. What can we do? You think to be tolerant and to forgive is to be weak? And he says, no, it's not. It's about being understanding. He says, it does not mean to fall to one's knees or to ascend the towers of false superiority. Rather, it is to persist in the work of regeneration by bringing about good and harmony. So those who do not understand us yet will observe us differently and finally understand the silent language of our example. Silence. Silence. Silence as we work. And never forget, I was 24 years of age. A few years ago. And my PhD mentor, very wisely, mentioning about, the competitions. And I was so young, I was like, I don't understand why people do this, that, and the other. And he said, Vanessa, it doesn't matter what they say. What matters is that we keep working in silence. Working in silence. So true. So true. This is Jesus' model. Work. We don't have to save the world. I don't have to fix anybody. If you think you need to save the world, let me tell you one story before we break it down here, okay? There is a psychologist named Cartman, and he said the dramas of humanity, it's the triangle of drama. Let me try, okay? I'm gonna try with a beautiful pink. Oh yeah, pink away. The triangle of drama of life begins when we assume the position of rescuer, savior. I'm gonna save, I'm gonna help. And then he says, the problem is that deep inside, we always have a hidden agenda, he says. And this hidden agenda brings expectations to us that are not real. And often we feel that people whom we are rescuing do not correspond gratefully. And because of that, we feel victims. So from rescuer, we become victims, feeling victims. And we feel like, you see, I help, and I do it, and I do that, and the other, and people are not grateful, they don't recognize me, ti-di-di, ta-da-da, ti-di-di, ta-da-da. And then he says, according to his studies, we never stop here. Because then any victim starts feeling anger. You see the world, the risk of violence? It doesn't begin with the ignorant. It pushes the wounds of our own ignorance. The ignorance of one people may potentially push the button of our own ignorance. And if we allow it, we can incur in this violent mode of aggression, anger. And once we feel anger, we're no longer victims. We become persecutors. That's what's happening to many people on Facebook. They feel like, no, this person cannot do this. I'm going to tell them, shame on you. Who are you? So you think you're better than the person, but then you're doing worse than the person because you're not even doing public service and you're demanding that the ones who do better and we're doing nothing. Or we're just serving for 1 hour a week and the rest of the week just for us. And we spend all that time persecuting, either passively or directly, either by killing, creating wars, bad-mouthing, etc. And when we do this, immediately we feel guilt, he said. Guilt. And we studied guilt. When we start feeling guilt, it's no good. We enter. That's the cycle of drama. We go back to rescue and say, oh no, I'm gonna help the person. No. You see, I had so many bad thoughts about the person. I'm gonna go back and try again helping the person. That's when we never leave the cycle of drama. You may be asking, how do I avoid entering this triangle of drama or get myself out of it? Easy. Karpman found out, never get into the rescuer position. I am not a savior. I'm not a rescuer. I was not born to fix anybody's lives. I was born, as Emmanuel says in the book Living Spring, to learn and to serve. To learn and to serve. He didn't say to save. To learn and to serve. So let us say, I was born to learn and to serve. I was born to learn and to serve. I was born to learn and to serve. Feeling it? Take that rescuer card. Not this one. Another card. Write it down. Rescuer. No longer rescuer. Thank you very much. I was not born to fix anybody's life. I was born to learn and to serve. To learn and to serve. To learn and to serve. And André Luiz says in the book Evolution into Worlds, through effort and repetition. Effort and repetition. You see how life has a beautiful rhythm? It reminds me of a beautiful song. It's a children's song, but I learned with my homeopathic doctor. He once said, Vanessa, we all need rhythm to be healthy. And that's how we're going to wrap up the program. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 merrily. Life is but a dream. Shall we, friends? Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Yay! Thank you, Karen Mark. Thank you. So you see, life is about God's dream. Exactly. It's God's dreams, not ours. We're living His dream, and we are God's dream. So enjoy the beauty of being God's dream by learning and serving. Do not worry about others. Trust and move ahead. Move on, my friends. Big hug until tomorrow. If it's too hard to tolerate, the good spirits are so wise. The next chapter is about prayer. Pray away. Until later, today with you.